Kelly, Rick, and Lewis, and I want to ask you guys if this is okay. So you're going to a holiday gathering, whether it's Thanksgiving, maybe it's a Christmas party, maybe it's Christmas dinner, and you're asked to bring a dish, right?
A dish to pass?
No. Food.
So I mean, a dish to pass.
Okay.
You just don't always have to
I didn't know if you were like a collection dish or you were passing around. I didn't know what you meant by that.
Oh, we're still back on my collection dish thing? If that works, I'll bring it.
Is it okay, or have you ever brought your dish, but you bought it at the store and just pretended it was your own? Is it okay to pass off a store-bought dish as homemade?
Like buy the potato salad and put it in your own container
Yes.
and say that you did it?
Yes.
I'll say that you don't need to say anything about it. You just bring the Kroger potato salad in your own, container and just say, here you go. Why do you need to claim that it's homemade or store-bought?
Well, what if somebody compliments you on it? Then are you like...
Oh, no. If somebody complimented me on it, I would admit that it's store-bought.
Okay.
100% of the time. I am never trying to claim something.
Yeah, because what if you bring something and somebody's like, hey, this is awesome. Can I get the recipe? And then you're like,
that's been passed down from generation to generation.
Yes, secret family recipe. I can't give this up. Several years back, our daughter Danielle, who loves macaroni and cheese more than anybody I know in my life, wanted at her birthday a macaroni and cheese contest where everybody made macaroni and cheese and brought it, and she was going to sample them all and declare a winner.
No.
And it was at our house, so we were hosting, and we were preparing all the other food. I'm like, man, I just don't have time. Well, let me tell you something. There's Lone Star Steakhouse.
Yeah.
They have this smokehouse mac and cheese.
Are they still in business, though?
Not Lone Star, the other one.
Lone Star was the line dancing place, right? Okay.
No. What's the other one? Oh, my gosh.
Outback?
No. Somebody help me.
Ponderosa?
It's current. There's one up by Tuttle.
Logan's?
Oh, my gosh. I am drawing a
York?
No. Oh, my gosh. I cannot believe it.
It doesn't matter. Somewhere you bought it.
A steakhouse.
At a steakhouse. That's
not named Outback, Lone Star, York, Ponderosa, or any of the above.
I can't believe I can't remember the name of it. This is ridiculous.
I mean, is it a nice one? Is it a mid? Is it a... What are we doing here?
Yeah. Golden Corral.
No.
Is it a Mitchell's? Is it a Hyde Park type situation?
Texas Roadhouse?
Ted's Montana Grill?
Oh,
something like that? All right, it doesn't matter. We're
Longhorn?
Yes, thank you.
Don't thank me. Thank Molly Servito. Molly, thank you. Because the show was at a complete standstill.
I didn't know what to do. Man, that was a terrible brain fart.
Molly provided the jumper cables.
So they got this.
Reset this story.
Yeah.
What's happening now? I'm confused.
They've got this awesome smokehouse mac and cheese. All right, at Longhorn. And so we bought about 5-6 orders of it and put it all in a glass baking dish and passed it off as our mac and cheese. Well, then she picked it and it won. It was her favorite out of everybody's, and everybody else made their own.
Now you're in the soup.
Yeah.
Here.
So then we felt guilty and admitted the truth.
Good.
I would have kept the lie going.
Oh, I couldn't do it.
No one would have known.
Right?
Yeah.
I would have.
Yeah.
I'm lying to my daughter. No, it doesn't work. I can't do it.
Come on. Parents lie to their kids all the time.
I probably would have never said a word if it hadn't won, if she hadn't picked it. Because there was gift cards involved here. Okay.
Well, so you got the mac and cheese for free and then passed it off as your own.
Well, no, I paid for the mac and cheese.
Oh, I thought you used the gift cards to buy
No, there were gift cards as prizes for having the best mac and
gotcha.
cheese. So I had to tell the truth. Yeah. So I just curious if anybody thought it was okay to pass off a store-bought dish as homemade, and you can text in 99700.
Sure, it's on our Facebook wall.
You posted it up on Facebook. All right,
I did.
And I know Kelly's got a story to go along with this, and we'll get to that. And your responses coming up next.
It's the Morning Blitz.
Kid Rock on the Morning Blitz, 7:39. Kelly, Rick, and Lewis talking about taking a dish to a holiday dinner, party, whatever, and you bought it at the store, but you're letting people believe that it's homemade. Is it okay to do that? Kelly, you've got some experience with this, not you doing this.
Well, let me just tell you that it is probably the reason I don't even try to take credit for something that I didn't do. And that is because early on in my marriage, we were at a family gathering, big family gathering, and someone brought their a gal they were dating. It did not last long, but she was in the picture at the time and brought in this gorgeous display of like cookies and desserts like that, like little cookies, brownies type things.
I like her already.
We're like, oh my gosh, this is incredible. And she's like, yeah, I spent the weekend making them. Okay, and we're like, instantly, I mean, when something's too uniform, right? Like a dessert is too uniform, like a cookie.
Right.
When you're making it at home, it's not uniform. They're all like sort of different.
Yeah, right.
Shapes and iced differently. And, it's not a uniform look.
Right.
Brownies cut perfectly, things like that. Now, she may have done this all herself, but instantly, literally 15 people in the room were looking at each other like, what? Like, obviously she's lying. Obviously she bought these at a bakery. And she didn't live in town. She lived, for a couple hours away. So it became the talk of the day. The talk of the day as to whether this person was a psycho and stopped at a bakery and bought a bunch of stuff and then tried to claim that they were her own and that she was just a personal, just amazing passion of hers to bake and to create. And she's just an artist and she needs to create in this way. And so we're all like, it truly was, I mean, even afterwards, there were phone calls afterwards discussing, like it was obvious she bought those, right? I mean, that is how big of a topic of conversation this was. It lasted past the event.
I love it.
I understand.
So I knew at that point whether or not this poor, lovely gal actually did create these in her own kitchen. She may have. We had no proof otherwise.
You still don't know for sure. There's no guarantee.
No idea. But I'm pretty sure that they came from a bakery. But anyway, I thought right then and there, I will never pull one over on this family. They are too bright. They would see it coming a mile away. So I always, I'll always bring the pre-scored Toll House cookies. I just bring those all the time to events because people like them and they eat them.
Sure.
And people are like, oh, I love your cookies. I love your cookies. I'm like, they're not mine. They're in the refrigerator section at Kroger. Like, I announce it now.
Right.
I announced it this past Thanksgiving. Last week, I bought a pecan pie, a frozen pecan pie at Kroger. And I made my own pumpkin pie. It was delicious, but I thought, I want another pie. So I went and bought one really quickly, but I put it in my own pie pan. I wanted it to bake in my own pie pan.
Okay.
But the crust is obviously not homemade. It's perfect. It's made by a machine, and you can tell it.
Yeah, the grooves all the way around. They're just like identical.
We brought out the pies, and I'm like, I mean, obviously I didn't make this one. This one came frozen, but I did bake it in my own oven. So I make a joke of it, but I come out front with all the info because of that one Easter with my family.
You don't want 15 people talking about whether you're lying or not.
I don't want you making phone calls later in the night about me.
I'm sorry, but that's a big red flag. If you'll lie about baked goods, what else will you lie about?
It's true, though, because that's a psychotic behavior.
Absolutely it is.
How would you claim something as your own? Why don't you just say, oh, we have a great bakery in my neighborhood, and I thought you guys might enjoy them? Isn't that a nice gesture?
Sure it is. And if you're going to have the brownies perfectly cut, you come up front and go, got a tool that cuts the brownies perfectly when you put it in the pan, and let people know that up front. Yeah. You need precise with a knife.
Now, we do have a brownie.
Liar.
We do have a brownie pan that's got a thing in it so that they're already perfect squares.
Yes.
So you can do that.
You can.
All right. Now, I'm like I said, I
don't
know
But you
got
to be upfront about that. Oh my God, I've never seen brownies cut like that.
Now,
well, I used the knife with my cutting hand.
If you don't think that we didn't go online and search all the bakeries in her neighborhood, and we found pictures of stuff that look similar, but you can't tell for sure. Maybe it was an inspiration for her. Poor girl. We'll never know.
What I like to do is I refer to some of my food, and I did this last night because I told you the other night your boy made some really amazing chick parmesan. I didn't do that last night. Last night, I like to make what I call better than homemade mac and cheese, which is where I take the box of Kraft macaroni cheese, cook that sumbitch up on the stove, and then I add some extra cheese. Last night I went with a little Monterey Jack, so it changed up.
I like it.
The Kraft macaroni and cheese, so I refer to that as better than homemade.
I like it. I like it.
Well, now see, we got one message here from Amy. Says change up the dish, put it in a different bowl, and add something to it. Then it's yours. Is that
Amy?
that count?
You and I, same page.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Steve said, I very specifically did just that with potato salad and had people asking me for my recipe for years. All it was potato salad bought from GFS.
And so they still believe it's his.
I guess so. That is a long con.
Now, Grace says, yeah, holidays are stressful enough without worrying about what dish to take. It'll all get eaten, trust me.
That's sort of what Jeremy's saying here. He says, good morning, everyone. If you're told to bring a dish, who cares if you made it or not? You brought food.
Well,
and
no, that's
I completely
fine.
agree with you, Jeremy, but you got to own up to, like, store-bought.
Yeah, you can't say, like that girl said, I spent all weekend making all these
Right,
cookies
it's almost
and
like you
brownies.
put Oreos on a tray and claimed you made them. That's how wild it was.
Some people do. Evelyn on our Facebook wall said, heck yeah, it's okay to pass off a dish as your own. Alana said, if I had to stir it, it's homemade. It's interesting.
Hey, well, I kind of like that because think about making a cake from a box. I mean, you didn't bake it from scratch. You baked it from a Duncan Hines box.
Right.
I would claim that as homemade because I did everything.
Yeah.
Do you have
I mean, it's really just, it's just a box of mix. You're still adding all the eggs and the oil and all that.
You're putting all the love into it, aren't you?
You know what I realized? I was kind of walking through the store the other day, and I feel like there's a lot of pressure on the store. People stare at you now when you shop. Like, have you ever noticed that? That people kind of like watch what you pick out?
I think you're paranoid.
I might be. But see, when I was making my chick parm, I will always buy a store-bought pasta sauce because I use that as my base.
Oh, okay.
And then I add seasoning and stuff to it to make it my own.
Totally acceptable.
So I feel like people are like, oh, look at you can't spring for the Prego. Got to go with the cheap stuff there.
I promise you nobody's looking at you. I
feel
promise
that way.
you. But I think you might. Yeah, you must feel like some kind of way about it.
I do. So I'm like, man, they think I'm a tight ass, but in reality, I'm going to season the hell out of this and change it up when I get home.
My sauce is absolutely, and you're fine doing that. I understand that. But my sauce is absolutely homemade.
Hey, you're fine over there, second rate. But what I'm doing here.
You want to do second-rate homemade sauce like what you've got going on? I mean, over here, we got the real deal happening.
All right, Cassie said, I think if you want to put it in a glass container, go for it. But if somebody asks you if you made something and you lie, that is sus. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. Candy said the same thing. Why lie? It's okay if you're not a cook, baker, simply don't have time. You brought something to share, and that's okay.
Agreed.
Matt said the potato salad from Harris Teeter inside a Tupperware container is David Copperfield magic.
Keith says, if it's a family function, they already know you didn't do it. So you just own up to it if you're lazy.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Well, I think it depends, though, because if the family knows you're an awful cook and then you bring something that's really amazing, you're going to have a hard time passing that off. But if you've been known to whip up something pretty good in the past, I think you stand a better chance of perpetrating that something you bought is the real deal.
Well, I will tell you that for years, I was the rolls person. When I'm like, what can I bring? You can bring rolls.
Oh, yeah.
King's Hawaiian.
Yes.
Here you go.
That is my brother-in-law every time, and he's got the King's Hawaiian rolls every single time. That's all right. He smokes great meats for us all year long, so I'm okay with it.
Here's a question. Have you ever brought food to a get-together and with the hopes that nobody eats it all so you can take it back with you because you want some and then they eat it all?
Yeah.
Damn it. Knew I should have held some back.
All right. Dennis said, for many, many people below the age of 40, I'd prefer they brought something store-bought. They don't know how to cook or bake, and when they try, it tastes terrible.
Joseph said you better repackage it first.
I just say you don't have to announce. If you are embarrassed that you had to do store-bought, which most of us have done, if you're embarrassed by that, you just put it in your own container and then don't say anything. You don't have to announce it. You really don't have to. I will walk in. I tell you before I say hello, I'll admit what is store-bought because of my experience. I'm already like, listen, I'm not trying to pull one over on this family.
Hey, everybody. Oh, what's that aluminum container there? Whipped up some carne asada steak before I came over, if you guys want to scoop out some of that.
Ever heard of Entenmann's? Because that's what you're getting for dessert.
This one's great. Hey, it's Michael Miller. Love you guys. I buy store food all the time and take it to family dinners, and then when someone says they love it, I leave before they ask questions.
Yeah.
So we seem to have a mix here. Some people think it's okay and some don't.
I think it's fine, but man, if it's obvious, don't try to pull one over. Like most of us know what
my
you're
gosh.
doing.
Destiny said, why lie about buying it from a store? If it's a hit, people are going to expect you to bring it again. And what if the store runs out next time or stops making it? Now you've got to either figure out how to make it or modify your lie to explain why you all of a sudden can't bring the dish, because who's going to want to admit they lied and it was store-bought this whole time? Too much energy spent on lying about something as dumb as not wanting to admit you bought something to bring.
I'm full agreement with that. I love that.